please sit down. There's no need for you to stand at the moment.
I feel like standing right now.
Please sit down.
I feel like standing.
There's so much in the 10-second clip you just saw. The judge asked not once, but twice for Dorow Brooks Jr. just to sit down. She wasn't asking for anything above and beyond what anybody else in the court would do. Now, mind you, Dorow didn't stand for the judge half the time, but in this one instance, she asked him twice to sit down, and twice he said he wouldn't. And then you've got this pause where the judge is obviously defeated, and I think that that is something that we need to talk about here. But before so, let me introduce myself. I'm Christian Duke. You're watching Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube, sightsoundsflavors.com. If at any point in time you like the video, smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and leave a comment down below. At the end of this video, I'm going to share my video from last Tuesday, April the 9th, in Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood International Airport, the Spirit Airlines employee confrontation with the rude passenger. I want you to see it. It's got over 8 million views on TikTok, 30,000 here on YouTube, 30,000 on Instagram. It has become a conversation piece. It's been covered in the Daily Beast, the New York Post. It's something you should check out. In any event, I also did a live chat here at Sight Sounds Flavors last night, Saturday, April the 12th, and I talked a little bit about this as well, but I want to delve into it a little bit more. You know, a lot of people have echoed the sentiment, leave Judge Dorow alone, okay? And listen, I understand that the judge has a lot of supporters. I am a Judge Dorow supporter. I gave her a 97%, which, again, you may not think is that high. It's pretty high because there's only 3 points higher. It'd be a perfect. But I think that, you know, she was way softer on him than she should have been. I understand she didn't want him to have grounds for an appeal, but her being a tougher judge would not have given him any opportunity to get away with that. You know what I mean? To ask for an appeal, to be successful in an appeal. In all honesty, her being as soft as she was with Dorow really honestly only made her seem weak and soft. And on a video that I will also include at the end of this video for Everything Else Channel on YouTube, everythingelsechannel.com, you know, Sue Opper even had some frustrations with the judge. Even though she was directing him at Dorow, she had to tell the judge, listen, there's nothing against me coming up with evidence on the fly if I think it's relevant, but it's your call, Your Honor. It's your call whether it's relevant or not. It's not Dorow Brooks's call. You run this courtroom, Your Honor, not Dorow Brooks Jr. Now, even though, you know, she's giving it back to Dorow, she's also having to tell the judge what is patently obvious, that she is the presiding officer, that she is in charge, that she makes the rulings. And, you know, a lot of people are going to say, look, this was aimed at Dorow, not at the judge, but it was aimed at both. Because Sue Opper, and you can see the clip at the end, it'll be at Everything Else Channel, but you can click on and go watch it so you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to share it here because I don't like sharing different clips going in different directions on one video. It's poor form. But I will say that I think that the judge's softness started to get under Sue Opper's skin to a certain extent, because there was nothing soft about Sue Opper with regards to the prosecution of this case. And I feel that her colleagues backed her up in that as well. You know, there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of suffering. This is not to say that the judge didn't empathize. It is not to say that the judge didn't want swift justice, but there were so many times, like the time here, this 10-second clip. And unlike other channels that'll play an hours long footage or 5 minutes worth, I'm showing you 10 seconds, and I'm making my video based on those 10 seconds for a reason. It's bad enough that she even has to ask Dorow to sit down when no one else is standing up, but that she has to ask him and he will not do it, and that she has to ask him again and he will not do it. It really honestly, in my opinion, and again, it's just my opinion, it's just my take, the court staff, you know, the law enforcement people, the clerical people, prosecution, people in the audience, witnesses, they had to ask the jury. My goodness, how could we forget the jury? They had to be asking themselves or wondering to themselves, who's in charge of these proceedings. I mean, is it the guy over there that's shackled to the table, or is it the judge? And when the judge basically had to run out of there because she felt scared of Dorow, again, look, I know people say leave Judge Dorow alone, but I mean, I give her a 97, okay? I think she did a great job, but there were moments like the one at the beginning of this video, or like when she ran out of the courtroom, or where she just wouldn't put him in contempt or wouldn't send him to the other courtroom and would say, well, let's take an early lunch or something. I feel that she was just way too forgiving. And actually, in the video I'm going to make for Everything Else channel on YouTube that I will put a thumbnail at the end of this video for, Sue even goes so far as to say, Your Honor, you have been way too fair with the defendant. So again, it's not me going off in some direction and trying to, postulate or theorize on things that were not said. They were said. And, again, the prosecutor can't school the judge, even though the defendant obviously thought that he could and tried many times to do so. The prosecution was not going to do that. But I think that the frustration was there. I think it was building. And, I don't think that the judge's soft approach with Dorow was necessarily approved of, much less endorsed by, Sue or her colleagues. I don't think maybe anybody on prosecution team was all that enthused with how soft the judge treated the defendant. Now you look at the Alex Murdaugh trial or the Sarah Boone trial, you don't see that. You just don't see that. So again, it's just one of those things where, maybe because of the highly televised nature of the trial, the judge was being a little bit softer. Maybe she knew that, his conviction was a foregone conclusion, so there was no need to be, nasty to him. But he was nasty to the court. He was nasty to witnesses. He was nasty to survivors. He was nasty to people that actually lost people, like the gentleman who saw his wife get killed by him. And so, actually was there. He even said she was so close that he could reach out and touch her. So again, I don't understand, and it's not because of an appeal, guys. Come on, that's nonsense. Judge Dorow wasn't soft on Dorow Brooks Jr. so that he wouldn't have grounds for an appeal. That is nonsense. Let me just go ahead and reiterate that. I just don't understand why she didn't come down harder on him like Sue Opper would have. If Sue Opper had been the judge, she wouldn't even have had to ask him to sit down. He wouldn't have been standing up to begin with. Nobody else in the courtroom was standing up except for him. The fact the judge even had to ask, to me, suggests that he didn't take her seriously. And the fact that she had to ask her a second time and he still wouldn't do it, again, that's a bad look for a judge in any courtroom, especially one for a capital crime such as that Dorow Brooks Jr. committed. I don't think that, the sheriffs and bailiffs in there were none too happy with the judge. And again, mind you, the judge is supposed to be the one that calls the shots. So if she's there basically being defied not once but twice by a defendant, that's a really bad look. But again, I've said my piece. What say you?